Thank you very much for being here with us for the very first edition of the Explorers Festival. I hope you're enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about yourself.
So I'm the startup director of the Web Summit, and just rebranded the summit. So basically I take care of all the startups that come to the summit and run our pub summits during the year and kind of curate the group that really gets to exhibit and participate in our startup competitions and stuff every year at the summit.
So how did everything start?
And so I joined the team about 2 years ago. I worked in a couple of startups before that, and then I was in consultancy. So I kind of escaped the corporate world in favour of a bit more of a startup culture. So then I kind of joined the team as just more of a startup consultant, and then we essentially created a bit more of a startup conference out of the Web Summit. And so we kind of pivoted in our second year to focus a lot more on just promoting early stage enterprise and getting more startups involved in what was becoming a pretty big conference. So when I joined the summit, it had about 1,500 people. I think last year I had about 4,000, and this year I had about 10,000, and about 30% of our attendees are now startups. So my job is to really kind of lead that kind of pivot in where we're bringing the company, and just really focus on making sure that startups have a real valuable experience rather than just being lost in the crowd.
So what kind of impact are you aiming at with these conferences?
Well, I guess what we want to do is to create a conference that just has value across every level for startups. So while we're one of the most accessible conferences in terms of pricing, we want to make sure that as we grow as a conference, we really ensure that startups meet lots of investors, they meet media, they get to pitch on stage, all this kind of stuff that really will define their companies in the coming years, so that they use the Web Summit as a real launch pad, to bring their company to the next stage. I think there's a lot of conferences that either price startups out of it, or else they bring on a lot of startups and the startups just completely get lost in crowds of thousands. So we want to create lots of little communities in our broader kind of summit gathering, and just make sure that it's really beneficial.
When did you become inspired by entrepreneurship?
So I guess I've always, I did business and politics in college. It's always been my main area of interest, to try and actually make something from the ground up. Never really had a particular interest in going to join a big corporate. It's just something I fell into and got out of pretty quickly. So the idea of just kind of creating something and building it up from the ground to hopefully be something incredibly successful is something that would appeal to me. And I think that's something that I share with the founders of the summit. Paddy, Dara and Dave, who are the guys who created it 4 years ago, have very lofty ambitions for the company and really want to make something that really defines the industry. So it's great to be part of something that's grown so fast so quickly and is continuing on a pretty good trajectory.
What do you think are the perks of being an entrepreneur? Flexible time schedule and being able to go to work at 11 o'clock?
Yeah, I wish it was being able to go to work at 11 o'clock, but it doesn't really work in our office. I guess it's just the kind of scope that you have to make your own decisions in your department. We're an incredibly young team. I say the average age in our office is kind of mid-20s, and it's a bunch of people that all leave their departments. They make incredibly important decisions in the greater scheme of things. And I don't think in a kind of bigger company you really get that scope to kind of get hands-on engagement in decisions that in a company like the Web Summit that kind of defined a significant amount of where the tech industry's gone in Ireland. It's just incredibly exciting to have that kind of I guess authority, but also just scope to think creatively about where the company's going.
What do you think are the major trends in high tech right now?
I guess there's a lot. I was just listening to our hardware panel there. Hardware is something that really gets people's attention at our events anyway. And I think it's very interesting to see companies like Nike join the space and set up incubators purely devoted to wearables. So I'm really interested to see where that goes. I think it's not near where it should be. I think things like the Jawbone Up and Fitbit are the alpha of what initially or what ultimately will be technology that's ingrained in our systems. So I'd say hardware is one. I'm very interested in the future of payments and where that's going. I think it's waiting for somebody to really kind of define the industry. There's a lot of disruptors like Square and Stripe, but there's nobody who has really kind of defined it at the moment. And I think antiquated systems of carrying a card around your wallet. I want to see where that's going to be in 5 years, and hopefully none of us will have credit cards in 5 years.
Some say hardware is the new software.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's probably like the sexiest thing you can get into in tech. People want to have something they can hold, and you don't even need to pitch it. You can see straight away what it is, and I think everybody wants to get a piece of the action.
So we're here at the Explorers Festival. Who are some explorers that you aspire to?
I guess in recent times, Elon Musk is the definitive entrepreneur and possibly of our generation. It's the fact that he hasn't focused on one success. He's gone on to success, and it's kind of mind-boggling when you look at the guy. He's created his own NASA. And I don't think there's anybody. There's a couple of people, maybe Rockefeller in the past, that have gone on to be involved in so many different industries. But to define everything he's gone into is it's really staggering what he's done. And I think just from a creative aspect, he doesn't seem like a particularly material guy, but he's just more interested in getting the ideas out there. He launched the Hyperloop plans for somebody else to actually achieve and realize, and he has no interest in really doing it himself. He just wants to put the ideas out there. He has the resources, so why not? So I'd say he's probably the most aspirational kind of explorer I know.
What do you want to say to future entrepreneurs? How do you want to inspire them to go after what they believe in?
I guess they probably have to learn it themselves and kind of see what the alternatives are. If you want to lead your life in and have kind of things set out in a more structured manner, that works well for tons of people. And I have absolutely nothing as lots of my best friends are still consultants or accountants or whatever, and they do really interesting things in their spare time. So by no means I'd belittle anybody who's like a corporate professional or something. For people who are interested in getting into it, I think it's all about risk and calculated risk, and it makes sense to really invest some time into something that you're passionate about, and I think the payoffs are endless. People who do build their startup from the ground up and really realize its potential and just seem like, I guess, the happiest people that I've met. So they are fulfilled, and they go on to bigger and better things. And so I think I definitely encourage anybody who has an idea to really give it a shot, rather than regret it in 20 years when you don't.
Thank you very much for this interview, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.